So, as this is the final session, I will be keeping it short. And today's our agenda is to showcase the chat, real-time chat application using Firebase. I guess Razak has already shown this thing previously in the previous session, but I will again try to show it real-time chat application. So, please confirm me if my screen is visible.
It's visible,
Yes, it is
Harish.
visible.
Okay. So first of all, I've already written the code for this thing, so let me show the demo first. So I have a list of two user types. I will be just focusing on the chat part, not the rest of the things. So if I click on one of the user, I'm getting the list of users here and here, both of the places. So if I click on student two test two here, I've logged in with student test two over here. If you see here, and here it is trainer one. The name will not come. Just 1 second. I will go to this one. It is trainer test one and it is student test two. If I go to the chat screen, similar to WhatsApp, how we write, I'm messaging to student test two. So if I click on hi student test two, it will send the message in real time here. And from here, if I want to reply, hey trainer. So we are receiving the messages in both of the sides. And also we haven't done the advanced features here getting the unread notification and all those, but I will explain how we can achieve that. That's it. So let us go to the code part now. We have followed the same clean architecture and feature first approach here, which we already which we have seen in the previous sessions. I will just focus on the chat feature over here, which have these two folders mainly, domain and presentation. And there's a text file which I have just written like uh, to understand what's happening here, how the thing is working. So now let's see. We have in the presentation folder we have screens, widgets, and chat controller. Chat controller is nothing but the provider part, and the provider and whatever functions we need to have for the chat screen that I have just summarized in a single file called chat controller. Then we have widgets here, just extracted the common widgets, and then finally we have screens folder which contains the chat screen and messages screen. So the chat screen means where we are seeing the list of chats, and the messages screen means the list of users where we are seeing all the users whom we are messaging. So first of all, I will start with chat screen. Now here we have simply a consumer widget. Then this is the constructor. Let me format this. So this is the constructor where we are accepting message and the chat controller. Message is nothing but a model class. So I will come back to this again. Let me summarize the whole chat screen first. So this is the build method where we are first of all getting the chat room ID. What we are doing is creating chat rooms for every single 1 second, let me open a whiteboard to explain. So we have a list of users which they want to communicate with each other. So what we are doing is for every users, we are we are creating a chat room ID for every one-to-one. Like one second, let me draw it first, then I will explain. So there are multiple users. This is user one, this is user two, user three. So if a user one wants to connect with user two, we are just creating a chat room like this: user one underscore user two. This is simple. Like there are many ways we can achieve this one, but this is the simplest thing we can do is having a chat room ID. Chat room ID. So whenever the user comes to this chat room, like suppose I'm user one, I want to connect with user two, I will just click on this chat room ID. I will enter this chat room and then will start messaging. And I will store all the messages forwarded in this chat room ID. I will, whenever the user types in, when the user when the user types a message, I will just create a collection of all the chat messages, and I will store the message in messages collection. First of all, I need to have users collection. I'm talking about the Firebase. When I'm referring to collection or documents, I'm referring to Firebase, which we have already seen in the previous session. So we need to have three collections, or maybe I think only two collections. Here we need to have a users collection and then chat room collection. Inside users collection, whenever the user is registering, or yes, when the user sign ups, I will just store the document for that user. And then in the chat room, when the user initiates a chat, suppose how we initiate a chat in WhatsApp, we search for a new number and then click on that, whatever results we are getting, we click on that box and then we start chatting with that user. So when we click on that, I will just create a new chat room with a new chat room ID. And ID, for ID, I'm just to be unique, I'm just getting user ID, the first user ID underscore the second user ID. And it can be in any, like it can also be user two underscore user one. It doesn't matter, because when we are uh, when we separate the user IDs from here, like for any use case, we will just separate it by underscore. It can be any keyword. I have just used underscore for that. uh, I will just separate and get the user ID separately. From there I can also get the sender ID and receiver ID. So let me explain what I'm talking about right now is when create a new chat room, I simply create a new collection called create a new document with chat room ID. And inside that document we will then also store a collection inside this inside that document. This is also the document ID, by the way, with document ID. Okay. Uh, 1 second. Give me some time to find this in the code. I will explain in better way. Yes. So first of all, what we are doing is getting the not messages list. We need to get the chat rooms. This one, get chat list. So we have created a collection called chat room, and inside that we are creating all the chat rooms like user one underscore user two underscore user three, like that. So this is the chat room ID, which we are not auto generating. We are giving simply user one underscore user two, like that. And then inside that chat room, we are again inside that document with this chat room ID, we are again having a collection called chat room chat messages. Then after that, we are to get the chat list, we are just ordering it by timestamp and descending. So like whatever recent messages are there will come in the top. So this is to get from the Firebase Firestore. We have already seen how to use Firebase Firestore. I'm just showing for the chat application what we need to do. We are just creating a collection inside this Firestore instance, collection called chat room, then a document inside that chat room ID, and then a collection inside all the chat room ID. We need the list of messages. So whenever we need to have a list of something, we create collection. Similarly, how we create a table in SQL database, it is NoSQL, so we are creating a collection over there. So this chat room will contain the ID and few other details like uh, the last message by, we can to get the who messaged last, and the to show the last message which we see in the WhatsApp also, that kind of thing. We can store any other fields, and also collections. So I am only having one collection which is chat messages to store the messages. Then getting the snapshot, it returns the stream, and then we are returning this chat list. So one thing I am not sure I explained this before or not. Future versus stream. What is the difference? I will explain after some time. This one. Razak, please remember, like, remind me of this thing if I miss after this
Okay,
chat
sure, Ayush. Yeah.
completed. So this is for getting the chat list. After getting the chat list, if I suppose in the chat screen, let me show this one. Sorry, messages screen. This one. Here I am calling filtered chat room list, which is one second. Okay, here the use case actually is to like a trainer and a fitness trainer application. This one, which I created as a sample. So here there are some filters. we can apply some filters when we try to fetch some list from the Firebase. So I'm just passing this filter over here. The in the messages screen, this is the messages screen. Let me show. This one is the messages screen. So for this, we are having this messages list. This widget is for messages list. And then inside this, I'm calling another widget, which is filtered chat rooms list. So I'm just providing the filter. According to that filter, I will get my desired list from that. Like we have all the chat rooms in the Firebase. So to get specifically what I want with the filters, I have just made a common widget over here. Here I'm taking the filter. This is from the Firebase. If I hover, this is from the Firebase package, Cloud Firestore. This one. So here, according to the filter, I am just getting my messages list provide, calling the get messages list provider. This is nothing but it is taking the my email ID and the filter, and according to that, returning me the list of chat rooms. This is not in the model format. It's just in simply in the map. From here, uh, we are just having getting the checking if the documents are empty. We are just returning empty list text. List text is nothing but like what we need to show the user when the list is empty, like no items found, or you haven't messaged anyone, like that. So otherwise I will return a list view. In the list view I have item count. This is from the snapshot. This snapshot is from the Firebase. This is not our class. This is from Firebase. If we go to the Firebase documentation, we can see uh, what things this snapshot provides, and according to that, we can get documentations from docs from this, and from the docs, like I'm interested in the how many docs I'm getting, which I created over here. Uh, this one, this doc, I'm just taking how many docs I am having. Suppose I chatted with 4 users, I will get here four docs. So I'm just getting the length of that and providing it to the item count. Then item builder, I have just created a function for item builder. I'm calling that, and this is the separator builder, just a divider for that. And in the item builder also, I'm taking from the from wherever I'm calling this filtered chat room list. This is just a common widget to call the get message list provider with the user email and filter and return this list view. I will come again back to this messages screen. Here we are passing all the parameters whatever we had, and inside this item builder we are, let me move this. We are returning messages list item. So for all the messages, sorry, for all the message, like I have created again a common widget which is messages list item. If I go to this one, you can see a avatar for the user profile picture. I haven't set any profile picture yet. Then the receiver name and the last message, and also the count of this like 100 messages count, which we have also have in the WhatsApp, like that. This is not completed here, but before pushing in the repo, I will try to uh, add all those things. But this is simply uh, this part. Circle avatar. This is in a row, a circle avatar. Then inside a row, after circle avatar, we have a column. Inside that, we have the name of the receiver, and then the last message. Because the last message is not implemented, we are seeing null over there. So after this, if we click on, you can see that we have a inkwell over here. If we tap on this widget, it will go to chat screen. This is not using the Go Router Builder over here, so that's why the syntax is a little bit different. But if we use Go Router Builder, it will be same as we were using previously. So uh, it will go to the chat screen, and in the extra, this is in the if we use Go Router Builder, we don't need to pass it like this extra. We will have our parameter like message, and we will pass there with that type. It is without the Go Router Builder, so it's not statically typed. We're dynamically passing the fields. So message is nothing but the list of. Let me go to this. This is the message model class. Here we have receiver details like receiver ID, receiver email, receiver name. Then the sender details, sender ID, email, and name, and then the message like the last message, timestamp, 100 count, current user email. Current user means my user name, like the user which is using the application, his or her user email. Then the chat room ID and the list of users. List of users means the person who is trying to chat with another user, like user one and user two, so like that. So both the users. So I'm passing all those details to the chat screen. This was the messages. We can also say that users list. From here we are passing to the chat screen. This is the chat screen. So if we go to the chat screen, we are accepting this. Uh, 1 second. Yes. So this is the chat screen we have. We are taking the message over here and the chat controller. After that, we are returning in the app bar. We are just showing the name of the user, the receiver name, whoever I am trying to send the message to. And on the click of that, I'm just sending to the profile details screen. We can ignore this as well. And inside the body, we have a column where after that, like we are returning a list view, which needs to be wrapped with expanded, of course, because the list view for list view we need to provide some kind of height. And after that expanded widget, we are having a box like text form field for entering the message. This one, this part. So this is app bar. Then this part is the list view wrapped with expanded, and this part is the row where we are having a text field and a send button. So this is the send button. I will go to the implementations a bit later. I'm just showing how the design is done. We have some padding. Then inside row we are having the text field, then some gap, and then send button. So one thing here, why we are taking media query.off padding context.bottom. This is like when we click on this text field, I want it to scroll up like this. So to get this, like from the bottom, I'm giving some padding. So what padding I need to give is this part, and then like the keyboard height, and then the whatever from the keyboard I want some gap. So to get the keyboard height, I have written media query dot padding of context dot bottom. So from the bottom, what is the padding the screen is having? What padding does the screen needs? So I'm getting that from the media query. I have already shown the usage of media query to get the screen size and height, like screen size, like height and width. We can also get other details like this padding of. You can also explore. There are many things, aspect ratio and many other things we can get here. So right now I'm using this padding of. and then getting the padding from the bottom, and then additional 5 I'm giving gap for this gap. Then inside row, text field also needs a correct like width provided to it. So if we wrap it to a row, it won't be taken exactly like list view, how list view behaves. Inside column, we can't provide it directly. So the text view also behaves similarly. So we need to provide expanded, like wrap it with expanded. And for having some decoration, I have provided a container above this text form field. I can also provide inside this decoration part. It will be same. And then in icon button, I am just mainly main part is to how we are sending the in the on press what we are doing. I will come back to this. Let's first of all see how we are getting the showing the messages list, chat list. So I have a provider, get chat list provider, where we are passing the chat room ID, which I am getting from the message, from the constructor. If you remember, we are taking the message, and in the message we have this chat room ID, this one. So I'm just calling this get chat list provider and getting the data. What is data? Again, query snapshot of map string comma dynamic. Query snapshot means whatever snapshots we are getting from the Firebase Firestore. Inside that, I have named it data. We can in the previous screen we named it snapshot. It can be anything. From data, I am getting like this is the snapshot. From there, docs and the length of that. I'm passing it to the item count. Then reverse is used here for like the last message needs to be shown here. So like this. So it's not going to the last. It's actually in the first in the DB if we see, because it's in the if the timestamp according to the timestamp it is in the first. So getting it in the last, I have just mentioned it like provided true to the reverse. Whatever we are getting from the Firebase, just reversing it here so that the last sent message is in the bottom, not at the top. This is padding to this list view and then the item builder. So in the item builder, I'm passing chat message list item. This is a widget I have created. Here I'm passing index message by current user. It takes boolean, like is the message provided by the current user or the sender has sent some message to show like to align the it's just to align the message accordingly in the left or right. Then we have chat message. I'm providing all the details. This is nothing but a class I have created, model class or data class. So I'm providing this chat message which contains all the details. Similarly, what we have in the message class, I have also created a chat message class. And then a separated builder, it's just taking a gap. Gap is nothing but a sized box. This is a common widget, and I'm passing that to this separator builder. What does separator builder does? I have shown previously listview.builder. This is listview.separated, where we can like separate the list items. Whatever we are passing to the item builder, we can separate that with this separator builder, whatever we pass over here. So I'm just passing a size box over here. And instead of builder, we are doing it separated. So let's go to chat message. Uh, Sorry, not chat message. Chat message list item. This one. This is the widget we are returning in the item builder. So here, first of all, I'm taking the screen width, whatever the screen's width is. And because to constrain the width of the message, if I type a really long message over here, it will still be till the 70% of the screen width because I have added a constraint over here. In WhatsApp also, if we see, or any other chat application, if you see, it won't take the full screen width just to uh, easy for the user to understand who has sent the message. So I'm taking the screen width, and then from the screen width inside this, like I have used return the align widget first of all. I have a container to show the message everything, but it is wrapped with the align widget. It is also provided by Flutter, and here in the alignment I'm just passing center right or center left. Does it needs to be on the right or in the left? So if the message is by current user, I'm giving it the center right alignment, and then otherwise it will have the left alignment dot center left. So this align widget does nothing, it just aligns the widget properly. uh, it has just one work to align the widget. Then in the container I have provided a constraint, like if the message is too long, there's no benefit of only like aligning the widget. We also need to restrict the message like this one. We need to restrict the this container till the 70% because if the message is this long, it will go till here. So for that I have provided a constraint over here. In the constraint we have provided box constraints, like this will take a box constraint. This is an additional parameter. I guess I have not provided this, like shown this previously, but this will just take max width, max height, min width, min height, these things. Like I can provide constraints like this is the maximum or this is the minimum you can go. I'm providing this to the container. We can also do it in this way, width and 0.7 into screen width. But using the constraints is a better way, that I am providing the max width. If I do this, it will always be 70% of the screen width. If they use, if this is less than, like, see, this is the result. Even if the message is less, it will be 70% of the screen width. So I have provided a constraint instead where I can provide the max width. It will take less width if needed. It will take the maximum. Like if it goes beyond the 0.7, 70%, then it will constrain till the 70% itself. Then few other things like margin, decoration, and then padding. And inside the child, I provided a column which is just showing the message. From in the chat message, we have many other things like timestamp and message and the sender ID, receiver ID, chat room ID, all those. Here we are just showing the message and the timestamp within a column. The message and the timestamp. I think we can reduce the border radius. It will look better. Okay. So timestamp, I'm calculating it by this, getting the hour and minute from the timestamp. Timestamp is like the whole thing, uh, UTC timestamp. So I'm just getting the hour and the minute and separating it with the colon. And it is in 24-hour format. So I haven't, like, if you want to show it in AM PM, we can also do that. We just need to calculate it accordingly. Yes. If you see the hour of the day expressed as in 24-hour clock. This is the complete timestamp. I'm getting the hour and minute from here. So let me go to the chat controller now. Here we need to see, we have already seen get chat list. It is like, one second. We had this provider over here to show the list of chats. So here we will get chat list provider. Yes, this is where we are. Here we are getting the chat room ID, and according to that, we are returning the uh, list of all the chat messages inside that chat room ID. Then we have send message. When we are sending message, how it's working. So if we go to this part in the icon button, this send button, we are getting the text message which was entered in the message box in the like if you see here the message controller we have provided to the text form field, and from there we are getting the text and just applying trim function over that and getting the text. If it is not empty, if it is empty we are returning, if it is not empty will come below. We are getting the IDs over here. What IDs? Like we are just forming a list of those IDs. There will only be two IDs because we haven't implemented group chat over here. We have just done the single like individual chatting. So we have got the IDs. We are doing it with the email here. We are getting the current user email from the local DB. This will get me from the local DB. We are using Hive over here, so we are getting from there. We can also use the shared preferences or SQL part which we have seen previously. It doesn't affect anything. So 1 second. Yes, we are getting the current user email from the local DB. We can also get it from here as well. Like we have this message. So inside message we also have the uh, sender email. This one. This will also work, but I have just kept it from the local DB. So and the message like I'm getting the receiver email because I am sending the message. I am the sender. So the other email will be receivers. So I'm getting the receiver email from the message. And from where I'm getting this message, first of all, if I go to this messages screen, this message, if we see from what the like I'm storing all those details here, receiver email, receiver ID, all those details I'm saving to the Firestore and then getting that and passing it over this message list item. And from the message list item, we are getting that in the chat screen also, this part. So after getting the email IDs, we are sorting it like the function from the this sort function is from the Flutter itself, built-in function, and then chat room IDs. I'm joining it with a space. Sorry, I by mistake told that it is underscore. It is actually space. And this chat room IDs is the sorted one. So when we are passing it, like for both of the users, the chat IDs will be same. Like chat room ID will be same. If we create user one underscore user two and user two underscore user one, those two chat room IDs will be separate. So just to make it same, I am using sort over here. So what for both of the users, this chat room ID will be same. After that, we are calling this send message provider, which is again created in the chat controller, where we are passing this chat room ID and the message. So in the message, we are passing the sender ID. Uh, by mistake, I put it static. It will go like message dot message dot receiver ID. Then sender email because I'm sending, it will always be the current user email, and then the receiver email. So for receiver email, I have created a function in the chat controller which is get receiver email. where I'm passing the chat room ID, because I can also do it over here in a function. It is just like I'm passing the chat room ID which contains the list of both the emails. So I'm just finding the other email over here. Receiver email will be chatroom id dot replace. I'm replacing the current user email and getting the whatever is left. I'm trimming it, and like suppose chatroom id is something like this: user1 at gmail.com. It will be separated by space. I've already shown this. So this is an example of a chatroom id: user1 at gmail.com, user2 at gmail.com. So if I replace the current get like current user email, suppose my user email, get current user email is user2 at gmail.com. So if I remove this one, I am left with this part, the receiver email ID with space. So I am just trimming it and returning the receiver email. So it will trim and will send this. Sorry, it won't be a list, it will be a string itself. That's why we are able to replace it. We are getting the string chat room ID. In the receiver, this is the sender email and receiver email. Then we are having receiver, all other details we are passing in directly, like sender name, receiver name, sender user type. We are having the two user types over here in this application, like trainer and student. So that's why we are getting, like, it is stored in the local database and we are just getting that user type. Actually, I think this is not needed. So we are not using them anywhere. That's I also need to refactor the model class, so I'm leaving it as it is right now. Message, okay, and then we are passing the message. Whatever text is entered, and the timestamp is the current timestamp, timestamp.now. It will get the current timestamp and will send in this. And it is nothing, just it's like we can also do await and get the result from here. Instead of that, we are using when. We can also do it like this to simplify it. Okay, we are not getting any result from here actually. We are not sending anything. That's why I had done, I forgot this one. Uh, we can also send some result from here. We are returning void in the send message provider. This is a generated provider. So let's see how we are sending this to the adding this chat message, whatever we created, how we are adding it to the Firebase. So we are creating a document snapshot. It is like a entry in a row. We have a row, like in the SQL we have a row, in NoSQL we have a document. So for creating a document, we have document snapshot. This is the type we can see in the Firebase documentation. So chat room details, we can also give it like final. If we don't know something, some value, like what's the type of this, we can give final over here and can hover what's the type. I have also given it like this, and it's like it is okay if we don't provide the type and we provide final. If we are doing where, then like instead of where, it's recommended to use the type, But if we use final, we are not changing it somewhere else. We can ignore the providing the type for the variable. Then there can be two cases, like the chat room is created, chat room exists, or the chat room doesn't exist. So we can create this at early stage also, like when the user is clicking on that user to chat, then also we can create. But here we are creating it when the user first sends the message. It depends completely on the business logic how we want to. So we are creating when the user sends the first message. This will only be the case when there are no chat messages shared between those users. So I am creating a chat room. It doesn't exist, like chat room details. We have got the reference of that document, the collection chat room. Inside that, if the document chat room id dot get, so it has one boolean variable over here exists. This is provided by the Firebase. This is Firebase, like document snapshot is from Firebase class. So we already have this. We are just checking if it exists or not. If it doesn't exist, we are creating one using set. In that document, that chatroom id document, we are setting some values. The first one is users, to like store the sender email and receiver email. This is also the chatroom id is also built using this, the sorted one. And this users also will contain this sender email and receiver email. So then the user names, like if you see this one, sender email and receiver email, please don't be confused. Like this is sender email and receiver email for this place, like in the code. It is not in the database. We are not separating it as a sender email and receiver email, because there we have both the users as same. In every message we will have like sender id sender email and receiver id receiver email, to separate the in the message, to know like this is from whom. Here it is just a simple list. Then we have user names, list of both of their emails and both of their uh, names. Then the first message, it's just like whatever we want to store here. First message or last message, we can store anything. This accepted we can ignore. Created at like when the chat room is created at timestamp dot now. Then if the chat room exists, we can ignore this part because it is related to the some business logic of this application. We are just having an accepted flag, which if it is true, then only we will like see the messages or send we'll be able to send more messages. Now the main thing is sending a new message. For what we have called this function for. This is the above part are the extra cases which we need to take care of. Then for sending a new message, we are not doing anything. We are just creating a document over here. Simply how we created chat room ID, we are creating a message, a document for the message. So we are accessing the chat room collection, then the chat room ID, the document with this one, this chat room ID, and then the collection chat messages collection under this chat room ID or chat room document. And inside that we are creating a document and setting these values. This will generate auto the key document id or document path. For here, if you see document, this one, this is we are providing our own path, or like we when we created chat room we were providing our generated id. But here we don't need to access, like we don't need any kind of uh, separate usages from this custom document ID. So we are just auto generating that document ID by not providing the ID over here. And then we are setting the values, the message, whatever message the user has entered, the timestamp, the sender ID, sender name, sender email, receiver ID, receiver name, receiver email. Read is for read receipt, like if the user has read it, like the receiver has read it or not. So when we are just messaging, it will always be false because we are creating the new message in the document in the Firebase. So that time it's not possible that he has read. So we are simply provide hard coded it to be false. When the user reads it, we will change it to we will update this instead of set. We will update this and will change it to true. And new message is for some kind of flag. I have forgot it right now, but we can ignore this as well. Okay, yeah, new messages for like getting the count of that unread read count, that thing. This is for read receipts, and this is for whatever how many new messages are there. I can just uh, query with this new message field. And after we are doing this thing, like sending the message, we are just clearing the this text field. So if I go to this one, when I enter a message, I click on when I click on send, all those operations will be performed, like checking the if the chat room ID already exists or not. For this case, of course, it exists. So if I send, this is also cleared. So for this, we can do like whatever text editing controller we have created, we can call a clear function over that. This will clear the whatever text is entered in that text form field. I think this is the most of it. Let me check if I have missed anything. Get chat list, send message, get messages list. This is not completed, so I won't be showing this one. These are not completely related to the chat functionality with the Firebase, but it is related with the like in a normal application we have one feature as chat. So that's why to go to the chat screen and to find the chat room IDs, those kind of things we have. One is get chat room ID. For that we are like this is a function from where from anywhere you can call this function from this chat controller, get chat room ID, and you can pass first email and second email, like the email IDs. Suppose I am seeing a list of users. From there I want to, if I click on one user, for example, this is not a message screen, or suppose it is a screen like uh, list of users. This is a list of users. So if I click on this, I want to get the chat room ID for this particular user and me. So I can just pass my uh, the email of both. For this also I'm getting it over from the API or whatever, from the API or Firebase, and my email ID is in the local storage. So I can just pass the both the email IDs and get the email IDs, sort it, and return the chat room ID, because chat room ID is nothing but the joint of like the concatenation of both the emails with a space in between, and the sorted concatenation after sorting the emails. This is nothing but a filter for getting the like what kind of we can provide apply any kind of filter. We have already seen this in the previous session for the Firebase session. Here we have a condition like is trainer. for trainer we are having two conditions, like filter the users containing my email ID and accepted true. And for the other case, like if it is a student, I'm just getting users, like it should contain, the users field should contain my email IDs. Users field from where, one second. If I go to create chat room, um, send message, this one. When we are creating the chat room, we are having this users. So when we are filtering the list of my chats, like there are hundreds of users in the application, but I am not chatting with hundreds of users. I am chatting only with the these 3 4 users. So I want only those users to be listed over here. So for that, uh, when I'm querying the list of this messages list, here I am accepting a filter. This filter is passed from here. This one. So I'm just passing on, like users field, on users field. It should check array contains, it is an array list of the both the email IDs. So I'm just filtering with whatever you like, whatever documents contain my user email. So it provide only those. So this is it. Okay. One thing which I meant, like said, I will explain later. This future or stream. So future is whatever we get. Future is a class in Dart for whatever we get in after some time, like not synchronously but asynchronously. So when we do something like 2 plus 3, these kind of things can be performed synchronously in our device, in our machine. But when we are doing some kind of API call, or we are opening a file, those kind of operations are not performed synchronously. We need some time, like it can take 2 or 3 seconds. So if we wait for 2 or 3 seconds there and don't do anything, any operation, like the updating the UI, or there are many operations going on in the background. If we don't do that, the UI will just freeze. It will like look like it, the application has hanged, like what we normally say, the application is hanging or the phone is hanging. So that thing, it will appear like that. But we can very easily bypass that thing by using async and await. What is async and await? It is like for future uh, we are doing asynchronous operation. Asynchronous operation. Whenever we are doing asynchronous operation, suppose there's a function which returns a boolean. Some async operation. For example, I'm returning true over here. So if I am opening some kind of file from here, or doing any asynchronous operation like API call, Then we need to mark the function as async and return it like whatever we are returning, we need to return like this future of boolean. Or if we are we can also do it like this. We can return true, or we can return future dot value and the value of it. So what I wanted to explain, let me show I need to find one example. Let me- Yes, like this one. So getting the snapshots, this thing is a asynchronous. It returns a future of. It is returning a stream, but stream is also a little bit similar. I will come to that. But for now, suppose it returns a future of query snapshot. So I will just mark it await over here, and to await means like till it returns the result, this function operates completes. We will be waiting for this and will be performing other things in the background. The UI updates or whatever we have, we'll be performing the other things. And when we get the result over here, we will come back to here, like and we'll get the result and we'll continue the function over here. But this function will be waiting. Only this function will be waiting. Nothing else will be waiting. So we'll be waiting for this value, and this function will be paused until we get the result from here. So for that, we are writing await over here, and to support await, we need async. Mark the function as async over here. Marking async means like we are marking this function does some asynchronous operation, and also it needs to return int, but we are doing some operations which are asynchronous. So we are marking it as like return type, wrapping the return type with future, that we will return the integer but we will return in future, like that. So this is future. What is stream? This future will get the value in after some time in future. That's why its name is future. But stream is like it will provide us continuous value in some interval. So for API call, it can be like after 2 or 3 seconds, or after a second or some milliseconds, whatever the API has uh, time. It will return the result in some second, but only once. But stream will return the value every some interval. Suppose we have a WebSocket. I hope everyone knows what a WebSocket is. WebSocket is nothing but like when we need to have a in HTTP REST API, we have one time we call the API. Uh, the connection gets happened, and we get the result, and the connection is lost. But in WebSocket, the connection is maintained, and we send the message and we get the response whenever we want to. We don't need to initiate it from the front end or from the client side. So this is a like a bidirectional communication or two-way communication. So here, suppose we are getting data from the WebSocket after every 1 second. We are getting some updates. To receive those updates, we can use stream. So here, instead of it, if I was receiving the data after 1 second, but only once, we can use future. But when we are receiving the data after some interval, every time, like multiple times, it can be 2 or 3 times only, but more than one times, I mean. So for that case, we use stream. And because Firebase is like a real-time communication database, so under the hood, it also uses WebSockets. Uh, so everything it returns from the Firebase, like it is in the stream. I'm not just using it for like because it's not of my implementation. The Firebase is only returning me in stream. We can also convert the stream into future and then use it, but it's not a good way. So we are using stream itself. I hope I'm able to understand the difference and also the chat functionality. Uh, but this is everything for today's session.